Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India Live, India's voice to the world. I'm Abhishek Mahajan. Coming up in the next 30 minutes. Legislative Assembly of Jammu and Kashmir to hold a single-day special session today to pay obituaries to the victims of Pahalgam terror attack, even as Kashmir starts welcoming tourists back to the valley. Canadian voters all set to cast ballots on Monday. Incumbent Liberal Prime Minister Mark Carney and Conservative Pierre Poilievre face off in a crucial election. Donald Trump urges Russia to stop attacks in Ukraine, warns that the US might walk away from peace efforts if there is no progress. Israel strikes Beirut for the third time since a fragile November 27 ceasefire. Lebanon demands intervention by US and France. And in sports, Liverpool clinched record-equalling 20th Premier League title, beat Tottenham Hotspur in front of home crowd at Anfield to win the trophy. News in detail now. The Legislative Assembly of Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir will hold a one-day special session on Monday to discuss the dastardly terror attack in Pahalgam that claimed 26 lives. Lieutenant Governor Manoj Sinha has called the session, which will address the recent terror attack, and the members will pay obituaries to the victims. The Assembly will pay tribute to the victims of the attack, followed by a discussion on the incident and related developments. A resolution condemning the terror attack in strong terms is also likely to be adopted during the Assembly. Days after the devastating terror attack in Pahalgam, the serene valley in Jammu and Kashmir is gradually returning to a sense of normalcy. Despite the terror attack, holidayers and tourists were spotted returning to the picturesque resort town of Pahalgam. A heartening scene unfolded on the streets over the weekend as tourists strolled through the town, bringing a wave of resilience, optimism, a sense of normalcy and hope back to the region. Stakeholders said that after experiencing a significant disruption in tourism following the April 22 terror attack, they have welcomed more than 7,000 holidaymakers in the past 3 days. Several domestic and foreign tourists who turned up at Pahalgam during the weekend said it is the Kashmiri hospitality and bolstered security that they decided to visit the place. Indian diaspora members on Sunday protested in various countries against the Pahalgam terror attack. In a strong show of solidarity with the victims of the terror attack, the Indian diaspora in France organized a mass protest at the iconic Eiffel Tower on Sunday. Dozens of members from the Indian community gathered, holding placards, chanting slogans and waving Indian flags, sending out a loud and clear message against terrorism and its alleged sponsors. In the United States, the members of Indian community in a solemn gathering paid tribute in Washington, D.C. to the innocent lives lost in Pahalgam terror attack. Members of the Indian community residing in different cities of Australia, including Canberra and Sydney, came together and held marches in solidarity with India in the wake of the Pahalgam terror attack. The Indian diaspora also held a march in Frankfurt, Germany, showing support for India in the wake of the terror attack. Members of the Indian community also held a protest over the Pahalgam terror attack outside the Pakistan High Commission in London. The protesters condemned the attack and Pakistan's alleged involvement. People in the northeastern Indian state of Sikkim gathered in Gangtok on Sunday to condemn the recent terror attack at Pahalgam. A solemn candle march led by Chief Minister Prem Singh Tamang was organized, which saw a large turnout of government officials, public representatives and ordinary citizens. The Sikkim CM expressed deep sadness over the attack and said that the people of Sikkim stand firmly against terrorism in all its forms. Union Minister Dr. Jitendra Singh visited Udhampur on Sunday, where he conducted a review of the security arrangements. Speaking on security concerns, Dr. Jitendra Singh said that appropriate security responses will be ensured. He also assured to ensure peace and safety and appreciated the role of Indian Army in keeping the morale of general public high through their strategic presence at sensitive points. The minister said the security forces had spelled out a plan to keep the confidence of the general public high and not let them feel insecure by any means. Moving on, Prime Minister Narendra Modi has announced Rs 2 lakh ex gratia for the kin of each of the 12 people who lost their lives in an accident in Madhya Pradesh's Mandsaur district on Sunday. In a post on social media platform X, the Prime Minister expressed condolences to the bereaved families and prayed for the speedy recovery of those injured. An ex gratia of Rs 50,000 has also been announced for the injured. A tragic accident occurred when a speeding van plunged into the well after hitting a bike, leaving 12 persons dead. Earlier, Madhya Pradesh Chief Minister Mohan Yadav also expressed his grief over the loss of 12 lives in Mandsaur accident and announced Rs 2 lakh each to the next of the kin of the deceased. Ayushman cards will be issued to the people of Delhi from Monday, providing them access to affordable healthcare services. As part of the initiative, senior citizens aged 70 years or above will be eligible for free medical treatment worth up to Rs 10 lakh under the Ayushman Bharat scheme. The Ayushman Bharat card, also known as the Pradhan Mantri Jan Arogya Yojana, is a flagship health insurance scheme that was launched to achieve the vision of universal health coverage. This initiative has been designed to meet sustainable development goals and its underlying commitment, which is to leave no one behind. A gradual change in temperatures will be seen across regions of India in the next few days. In northwest India, the maximum temperatures will first increase and then slightly fall, while central and east India look to have a small initial fall in wave temperature trend. Heat wave conditions are expected to persist across several northern and central areas of India and hot and humid across some areas in the west and south. In Delhi NCR, there have been rises in temperature in the last 24 hours with mostly clear skies and moderate wind levels. Also, some regions of Uttar Pradesh, Bihar and West Bengal are likely to get some relief due to light rainfall expected in these parts. The northeastern and southern states are likely to get light to heavy rainfall in the upcoming days. Moving on to other stories, the U.S. military decided not to reveal specific details about its military strikes in Yemen, citing what it called the need to preserve operational security, while also saying the strikes had lethal effects on Houthi rebels. Republican President Donald Trump ordered the intensification of U.S. strikes on Yemen last month, with his administration saying it will continue assaulting Iran-backed Houthi rebels until they stop attacking Red Sea shipping. Washington says the strikes aim to cut off Houthi military and economic capabilities while minimizing civilian harm. Israel struck South Beirut on Sunday, marking the third incident since the November 27 ceasefire. The strike drew criticism from Lebanese President Joseph Aoun, who called on France and the U.S. to intervene and enforce the ceasefire. Whereas Israeli PM Benjamin Netanyahu's office stated that the strike targeted a Hezbollah facility storing precision-guided missiles in Beirut's southern suburbs. The Israeli military had warned civilians to evacuate the area beforehand. Netanyahu's office said Israel will not allow Hezbollah to grow stronger and create any threat against it anywhere in Lebanon. Meanwhile, the UN Special Coordinator for Lebanon, Jeanine Hennis Plasschaert, urged all parties to avoid actions that could destabilize the ceasefire, citing panic and fear among civilians. Meanwhile, Israel carried out another operation, a drone strike in the border town of Halta on Sunday, which killed one person, reportedly a Hezbollah militant, according to Israel. Despite the November truce, Israel has continued to conduct strikes in Lebanon, and its troops remain in several positions in southern Lebanon deemed strategic. Israel Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has called for the complete dismantling of Iran's nuclear program, stating that any deal with Iran must address its ballistic missile capabilities. He emphasized that Iran should not have the capacity to enrich uranium for nuclear weapons. This stance comes as Iran and the US hold nuclear talks, with both sides reporting progress. The talks aim to find a solution after the collapse of a 2015 nuclear accord between Iran and major powers.
I think we should bring in the ballistic missiles, the prevention of the development of ballistic missiles into the deal. I think these are the two requirements. I said to President Trump that I hope that this is what the negotiators will do. We're in close contact with the United States. But I said one way or the other, Iran will not have nuclear weapons. And then further, the way to prevent it is to dismantle all the infrastructure of Iran's nuclear program.
Iran is reeling after a devastating explosion tore through Shahid Rajai port near the vital Strait of Hormuz, killing at least 40 and injuring over 1,000. Eyewitness footage showed rescue workers from the Iranian Red Crescent dropping fire retardants from aircraft onto raging flames. The blast near the critical Strait of Hormuz blanketed Bandar Abbas in toxic smoke, shutting down schools and offices. Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei has ordered a full investigation into possible negligence or foul play. President Masoud Pezeshkian visited the scene and pledged urgent support for victims. Fires fueled by hazardous chemicals raged for hours as Russia rushed specialists to assist. The port operations have partly resumed. Twisted wreckage and smoke still cloud the area. Still to come on this edition of DD India Live. At least 11 people killed after a car plows into crowd at Vancouver Filipino festival. US-Philippine troops shoot down drones in joint defense drills. Virat Kohli, Krunal Pandya shine as Royal Challengers Bengaluru beat Delhi Capitals to become table toppers.
Bharat welcomes the world to a new era of creativity. Waves World Audio Visual and Entertainment Summit as Mumbai hosts the global stage for creativity and innovation. Connecting creators through Creatosphere, where emerging voices rise. Wave Accelerator, where ideas meet global investors. Waves Bazaar, a global marketplace for content. Connecting countries through global media dialogue and industry roundtable. Bharat Pavilion, capturing India's rich history of storytelling.
वेव्स के रूप में भारत एक ऐसा प्लेटफॉर्म बनाने जा रहा है जिसमें दुनिया के एंटरटेनमेंट लैंडस्केप पर उसको बदलने की क्षमता होगी.
From culturals to cinema, gaming to animation, fueling the next wave of entertainment. Connecting creators, connecting countries. Waves 2025.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India Live. I'm Abhishek Mahajan. US President Donald Trump urged Russia on Sunday to stop its attacks in Ukraine, while his top diplomat said the United States might walk away from peace efforts if it does not see progress. Speaking to reporters in New Jersey, Trump said he was disappointed that Russia has continued to attack Ukraine and said his one-on-one meeting with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky had gone well.
Well, I want him to stop shooting, sit down and sign a deal. And we have the confines of a deal, I believe. And I want him to sign it and be done with it and just go back to life.
Trump also rebuked Russian President Vladimir Putin after that meeting, saying he wants Putin to stop shooting in the Ukraine conflict and sign a peace deal.
I think the meeting went well. We'll see what happens over the next few days. We'll probably learn a lot. I was very disappointed that missiles were flying by Russia, but that missiles were flying. Very disappointing. We'll see how it goes.
German Defense Minister Boris Pistorius warned Ukraine against accepting US President Donald Trump's latest ceasefire proposal, calling it a path to capitulation. Speaking to German public broadcaster, Pistorius acknowledged that Kiev may eventually have to consider territorial concessions for a genuine and lasting peace. However, he stressed that Trump's offer goes too far and offers Ukraine no real benefit. Pistorius stressed that Ukraine could have secured similar terms a year ago without enduring further devastation. Accepting such a deal now, he said, would not only erase the sacrifices made but would also offer no meaningful gains. As Pistorius prepares to remain in office under Germany's new coalition, his message was clear: capitulation must not be the price of ceasefire. Now, North Korea has confirmed for the first time that it has deployed troops to fight alongside Russia in Ukraine. Acting on orders from leader Kim Jong-un, North Korean forces reportedly helped liberate Russia's Kursk region, a move hailed by Pyongyang as proof of an unbreakable alliance. KCNA state media called their fighters heroes, highlighting the deepening military pact sealed by Kim and President Putin last year. North Korea sent an estimated total of 14,000 troops, including 3,000 reinforcements, to replace its losses, Ukrainian officials reported. Despite suffering heavy losses due to limited equipment and battlefield experience, North Korean forces adapted swiftly. Russia, after months of silence, has now acknowledged their presence. Now, in the western Canadian city of Vancouver, at least 11 people were killed and dozens injured when a man with a history of mental health issues rammed an SUV through a crowd at a Filipino community festival. Police arrested a 30-year-old Vancouver man at the scene of the incident on Saturday evening, describing him as having had a significant history of interactions with authorities involving mental health. They said there was no evidence of terrorism. The attack on Saturday evening took place 2 days before Canada's federal election on Monday. Mayor of Vancouver, Ken Sim, described the incident as the darkest day in city's history. He ruled out terrorism as a motive of the attack.
Now, I do want to take this opportunity to lay out some facts about the incident. Here's what I can confirm at this time. Number one, the suspect has been arrested and is currently in VPD custody. Secondly, evidence points to this not being an act of terrorism. Thirdly, the individual in question has a significant history of mental health issues. And fourthly, he is known to police for a multitude of mental health interactions. Now, it would appear that mental health appears to be the underlying issue here.
Canada's Prime Minister Mark Carney describes the incident as a car ramming attack. Carney said that while the investigation is ongoing, there is no indication of an active threat to Canadians following the attack.
An occasion to gather and to celebrate the vibrancy of the Filipino-Canadian community. 9 people were killed, and more than 20 were injured in what the Vancouver police are describing as a car ramming attack. I would like to commend the quick and compassionate actions of those at the scene and of our first responders. An investigation is ongoing.
Now, Canadian voters are all set to cast their ballot today after months of uncertainty influenced by US President Donald Trump's unpredictable global tariff policies. Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney called for the April 28 election in March, shortly after replacing former Prime Minister Justin Trudeau. Voters will choose their local representative to the House of Commons, but the ballot will not include a direct vote for Prime Minister. Mark Carney and Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre campaigned across the country on Sunday, the final day of a 5-week campaign, making their pitches to voters. Ahead of the rally, various Conservative Party supporters lined up along the road. Poilievre has promised to reduce spending on foreign aid and axe a federal sales tax on Canadian-made autos as long as US tariffs are in place. As Canada votes on April 28, we get you a detailed report on key parties and country's electoral system.
The upcoming Canadian federal election is shaping up to be a pivotal moment in the country's political landscape. With Justin Trudeau stepping down as Prime Minister earlier this year, the Liberal Party is selecting a new leader, Mark Carney. The leadership change has injected fresh energy into the Liberals. Canada's political landscape is diverse, with several parties shaping its democracy. Let's take a look at the main ones. The Liberal Party of Canada, it's known for its centrist and progressive policies. The Liberals have been a dominant force in Canadian politics. Conservative Party of Canada, positioned on the centre-right, the Conservatives focus on fiscal responsibility and traditional values. Pierre Poilievre is the current leader. New Democratic Party, the left-leaning party advocating for social democracy and progressive reform, led by Jagmeet Singh. Bloc Québécois, the regional party that promises Quebec's interests and sovereignty, led by Yves-François Blanchet. The Green Party of Canada, focused on environmental issues and sustainability, led by Elizabeth May and Jonathan Pedniault. People's Party of Canada, a newer party with a focus on libertarian and populist policies, led by Maxime Bernier. Canada, unlike most countries, uses a first-past-the-post system, where the candidate receiving the most votes in a riding is declared the winner. The system rewards political movements with concentrated support and means a party can gain a majority with as little as 39% of the vote. If three or more parties are contesting a seat, candidates can win with a remarkably low percentage of the vote. The election will determine who leads Canada through inflation, housing instability, a healthcare crunch, and a deteriorating relationship with the United States.
A South Sudan opposition lawmaker has accused President Salva Kiir's government of preparing a genocide against the Nuer community led by his rival Riek Machar. The accusation follows the government's classification of certain areas as hostile, which the opposition sees as a pretext for collective punishment and violence. Months of clashes between Kiir's forces and those loyal to Machar have raised fears of a return to civil war. The opposition party is considering filing charges of crimes against humanity and genocide at the International Criminal Court. At a time of simmering tensions with Beijing over the South China Sea, US and Philippine soldiers shot down drones with Stinger missiles during live-fire drills on Sunday, part of annual joint military exercises. More than 14,000 Filipino and US troops are participating in this year's shoulder-to-shoulder exercises, which run until May 9, focusing on a full battle test between the two defense treaty allies in response to regional security concerns. China has criticized the drills as provocative. Ties between Beijing and Manila are the worst in years amid frequent confrontations in the disputed waterway that has sparked concerns of a military conflict. Sports updates now. We'll start with soccer. Liverpool rode back from a goal behind to thrash Tottenham Hotspur 5-1 and wrap up the Premier League title in style on a momentous day at Anfield. Liverpool required only a point to ensure a record-equalling 20th English title with 4 games remaining, but they were rocked in the 12th minute as Dominic Solanke headed Tottenham in front. However, the title party was only temporarily silenced as Liverpool struck back with Luis Diaz tap-in and Alexis McAllister thunderbolt and a Cody Gakpo shot before half-time. Later, a one-sided second half saw Mohamed Salah and a 6-match scoring drought in the 63rd minute. Tottenham's destiny, meanwhile, bundled in an own goal to complete a miserable afternoon for the visitors, who have now lost 19 Premier League games this season. Liverpool have now matched Manchester United's English titles record, having 82 points from 34 games played with Arsenal. Now, Manchester United salvaged a 1-1 away draw at 10-man Bournemouth in Premier League on Sunday. Rasmus Højlund scored an equaliser deep into stoppage time. Antoine Semenyo had put Bournemouth ahead in the 23rd minute, and United were staring at a 16th defeat of the season. But Højlund came to the rescue in extra minutes at the Vitality Stadium. Bournemouth were reduced to a 10-man from the 70th minute when striker Ivan Nilsson was sent off after a VAR review of a slip-sliding tackle. The result left Bournemouth 10th, dealing a blow to their hopes of a place in Europe next season, while Europa League semi-finalist United gained a point in 14th. Cricket now. Royal Challengers Bengaluru clinched top spot in the ongoing Indian Premier League with a 6-wicket win over Delhi Capitals at the Arun Jaitley Stadium on Sunday. Chasing 163 for the win, Krunal Pandya blasted a 47-ball 73 not out as Bengaluru achieved the target with 9 balls to spare. Virat Kohli also hit his 6th half-century of the season, to claim the orange cap momentarily, but struggled during his 51-run knock of 47. Meanwhile, for Delhi, KL Rahul top scored with a 39 ball 41, but Delhi lost wickets in regular intervals before Tristan Stubbs' 18 ball 34 lifted them to a competitive total of 162 for 8. Bhuvneshwar Kumar and Josh Hazelwood snapped 3 and 2 wickets respectively, while Krunal Pandya and Yash Dayal accounted for 1 wicket each to restrict Delhi Capitals. Well, that's all for this edition of DD India Live, but do let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on DD India mobile app. The app is available on both Android and iOS. Scan the QR code on the screen to download now. And we'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Abhishek Mahajan from all of us here in Delhi. Thanks for watching DD India Live.